Let's be honest. Tech isn't neutral anymore. It's shaping how we feel, how we love, and how we live. So, what happens when a startup decides to design an app not for clicks, but for compassion? Welcome back to the next episode of Founder Unfiltered. I'm your host, Joanna Trojak, and this is the episode 9 of our journey together. Today, we're diving into something that's both deeply technical and profoundly human. We're going to explore how I am approaching the design of the self-dating app I'm creating with emotions at the center rather than as an afterthought. This isn't just about making things look pretty or feeling good. This is about fundamentally reimagining how technology can serve our emotional well-being instead of exploiting it. It's about creating digital experiences that help us feel more human, not less. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's explore what happens when we design technology that actually loves us back. Let me start with a hard truth. Most apps dominating our lives right now are dopamine-driven machines. Scroll, swipe, repeat. They're designed to grab our attention, keep us hooked, and extract as much engagement as possible. Think about the apps on your phone right now. Instagram infinite scroll. TikTok's addictive algorithm. Dating apps that turn romance into a slot machine. These platforms are engineered around what psychologists call variable ratio reinforcement, the same mechanism that makes gambling so addictive. So, in a way, you are just engaging with a Las Vegas slot machine every single day. These apps get users, partly because they are so addictive, but they also create anxiety, disconnection, and burnout. According to a study by the Center for Human Technology, the average person checks their phone 96 times per day. That's once every 10 minutes during waking hours. Meanwhile, research from the University of California even found that it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully focus after a digital interruption. We're not just users anymore. We're products being sold to advertisers. Our attention is the commodity, and these platforms are designed to extract it as efficiently as possible. But what if technology could do the opposite? What if instead of hijacking our attention, it could help us become home to ourselves? This brings us to the concept of emotional UX, which is fundamentally different from traditional user experience design. Most product designers talked about user experience in terms of speed, friction, and conversion flows. How quickly can someone complete a task? How many steps does it take? What is the conversion rate from sign up to active user? But emotional UX is about how your product makes people feel, not just what it helps them to do. It's designing for the full spectrum of human emotions, not just the ones that drive engagement metrics. It's the moment an app says, "You're doing your best," instead of pushing another notification. It's the soft sound when you complete a journal entry or the calm colors that don't spike your nervous system. It's technology that feels like a supportive friend, not a demanding boss. Think about the music in Animal Crossing game. The music is so mellow, so chill that actually you want to relax, you want to feel in your body. And that's the example I can talk about because I've used this game and I always feel so relaxed and so calm playing this game because it makes me feel really good by playing this music, and I associate this music with relaxation, with slow living. Anyway, Dr. B.G. Falk research at Stanford University shows that sustainable behavior change happens when motivation, ability, and triggers align. But he emphasizes that the emotional context surrounding these elements is crucial. People don't just need functional tools, they need tools that make them feel capable, supported, and understood. This is especially important when we are designing for vulnerable moments, which, let's be honest, describe most of the time people reach for their phones. When I started designing a self-dating app, I realized I'm building for a very specific emotional context. Most people using the app are in transition. They're healing from heartbreak and learning to be alone without feeling lonely, or they're feeling stuck in their dating life and trying to break unhealthy patterns, or they're rebuilding their relationship with themselves after years of seeking external validation. These users don't need just one more feature or one another productivity hack. They need a space to breathe, reflect, and be gently guided back to themselves. They need technology that meets them where they are emotionally, not where we think they should be. Research from the Greater Good Science Center at UC Berkeley shows that self-compassion, treating yourself with the same kindness you'd offer to your best friend, is more effective for emotional well-being than self-esteem, which relies on external validation. The app needed to embody this principle in every interaction. So think about it like that. Sometimes you are thinking like, I'm so pathetic, I'm such an idiot because I haven't done this or that, or I fucked up in some way. But what if of doing this self-hate routine, you could just say, okay, maybe it didn't work out, but I can do better. Because you wouldn't say to your best friend that, oh my God, you're such an idiot, you're fucked up, you're not good. You would say, that's okay, I support you. Next time you will do better. So that's basically what the app is trying to achieve, to create this moment of self-compassion. So Brené Brown's work on vulnerability also informed the approach. She found that shame and self-criticism thrive in secrecy and silence, but they can't survive empathy and connection. How could I design digital experience that fosters self-empathy rather than self-judgment? My mission became clear. Create technology that nurtures human potential rather than numbing it. I'm not building a self-care gimmick that tells you you take a bubble bath and call it healing. Of course, if you like bubble baths and you feel better after them, then do that, of course. But it's not the solution. I'm building a self-connection platform rooted in emotional design principle. This approach is backed by emerging research in what is called positive computing, technology designed to support psychological well-being. Raphael Calvo and Dorian Peters, leading researchers in the field, argued technology should actively contribute to human flourishing, not just avoid causing harm. The goal is to create digital experiences that mimic real-world emotional safety. When you're with someone who really sees and supports you, what does it feel like? How can we translate those feelings into digital interactions? Psychologist Carl Rogers identified three core conditions for therapeutic relationships and conditional positive regard, empathy, and genuineness. I asked myself, how can the app embody these qualities? So let me walk you through specific ways I'm implementing emotional reacts in the self-dating app. These aren't just nice to have features, they are fundamental to how the app works. Before showing users any next steps or suggestion activities, the app asks, how are you feeling today? This isn't just data collection. It's a moment of mindfulness that changes the entire interaction. Research from UCL Mindfulness Awareness Research Center shows that simply naming emotions, what psychologists call effect labeling, reduces activity in the amygdala, the brain alarm system. By starting with emotional awareness, I am helping users regulate before they engage. This tiny UX moment transforms the app from a task manager to an emotional companion. When someone pauses to notice how they feel, the app becomes an anchor for self-awareness, not an escape from reality. Because, after all, it's not about escaping from the reality. It's using the technology to help you live better and in more sustainably emotional way. I completely reconsidered the language I use throughout the app. I ditch hyper-motivational copy like crush your die or smash your goals or go harder. Language that feels aggressive and demanding. Instead, I'm using phrases like take it slow today, you're allowed to rest, and growth isn't always linear, and that's okay. The tone is everything. I want the app to communicate like an emotionally intelligent best friend, not a demanding coach. Because sometimes you can't just push harder, You just have to rest and you have to be where you are. And maybe it's not the place you want to be like forever, but you have to accept that you are here. That's your ability or that's your situation. And you can, of course, do something about it, but you don't have to push, 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 because pushing can maybe not great for you. So this approach is supported by research from positive psychology pioneer Martin Seligman, who found that self-compassion language significantly improves resilience and emotional regulation. The words we use literally shape our external experience. Color psychology plays a huge role in emotional reacts. Bright red signals urgency and can trigger stress responses. Harsh vibrations create tension in the body. Push notification badges create pressure and anxiety. I designed our color palette to feel more like a calm afternoon than a flashing casino. I use soft gradient, earth tones, and gentle transitions. No red alerts unless absolutely necessary. It's spa energy, but digital. And you don't want bright lights and alarms in the spa. It's like a temple. Everything is slow. You just relax. Environmental psychology research shows that color significantly impact mood and behavior. Blue tones reduce cortisol levels. Green promotes a feeling of balance and harmony. And warm neutrals create feelings of safety and comfort. Traditional apps celebrate productivity metrics, streaks, completions, achievements. I'm trying to celebrate things most apps overlook. You showed up for yourself today. Because sometimes just opening the app when you're struggling is an act of self-love. You pause before reacting. That's growth. Acknowledging emotional regulation skills. You journaled your feelings instead of ignoring them. Celebrating emotional awareness. It's not about rewards for productivity, it's about acknowledgement and reward for presence and emotional courage. Psychologist Rick Hansen's research on neuroplasticity shows that explicitly savoring positive moments, what he calls taking in the good, literally rewires the brain for great resilience and well-being. Instead of just telling people to go on a self-diet, I guide them through creating one. I offer mood-based suggestions, help with intentional settings, and provide reflection prompts afterwards. For example, if someone indicates they are feeling anxious, we might suggest grounding activities like a nature walk or a creative project. If they're feeling lonely, we might suggest activities that foster connections with themselves, like writing a letter to their future self, because solo time deserves just as much intention and care as romantic date night. What's fascinating is how emotional UX aligns with what we know about neuroscience and emotional regulation. When we stress or overwhelm, our prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for executive function and decision making, goes offline. We literally can't think clearly. Traditional apps often add to the cognitive load with complex interfaces, multiple options, and constant stimulation. But emotional UX does the opposite. It helps regulate the nervous system so people can access the higher order thinking. Because if you are relaxed, if you're chilled, as some people say, you're thinking better. You can actually access the higher cognitive functions because you don't have to take care of other things. You're not in a fight and flight mode. There's not a lion on a savannah that chases you. You are like in some beautiful place where nothing will harm you. Not a lion, not your taxes, not your boss that you hate. You are in this great space and you can focus, and because of that, you can think more creatively. Dr. Dan Siegel's research on the window of tolerance shows that we function best when we are in a state of calm alertness, not hyperactive or shut down. The app design specifically aims to keep users in the optimal zone. For example, I'm using something called progressive disclosure, revealing information gradually rather than overwhelming users with options. I am including breathing cues in our animation. One of the most important aspects of emotional UX is designing for low states, not just high ones. Most apps are designed for users who are energetic, motivated, and fully functioning. But people often turn to technology when they're tired, anxious, lonely, or struggling. How does the app feel when you're at the lowest? Does it add to your burden or help lighten it up? This led to features like low energy mode, simplified interfaces for when users don't have the bandwidth for complex decisions. I'm also creating emotional emergency pathways for moments of acute distress, connecting users with grounding exercises and professional resources when needed. Research from the American Psychological Association shows that technology can either be a source of stress or a tool for resilience, depending entirely on how it's designed. It's the demand attention and performance add to allostatic load, the wear and tear of the body from chronic stress. But apps that support and soothe can actually feel help system. Traditional apps metrics focus on engagement, daily active users, session lengths, retention rates, but these metrics can actually be counterproductive for emotional wellness apps. We don't want people to be addicted to the app, we want them to develop a healthy relationship with themselves. So I measure success differently. Instead of time spent in app, I'm trying to track moments of increased self-awareness. Instead of daily login streaks, we try to celebrate and trying to take breaks and practice boundaries. Instead of maximizing notifications, I'm trying to measure how often users practically engage without prompting. I'm also tracking qualitative metrics through regular user interviews. How has your relationship with yourself changed since using the app? Do you feel more or less anxious about being alone? What emotions come up when you use the app? This approach aligns with the growing movement toward time well spent metrics championed by organizations like Center for Human Technology. The goal isn't to maximize engagement, it's to maximize positive impact on users' life. I want to be honest about the challenges of designing for emotions. It's much more complex than optimizing for clicks or conversions. First, emotions are highly individual. What feels supportive to one person might feel patronizing to another. I had to build significant customization into the app, allowing users to adjust not just settings, but the emotional tone of their experience. Second, emotional UX requires constant testing and iteration. We can't just use A/B testing button colors. I need to understand the deeper emotional impact of my design choices. This requires more time, more empathy interviews, and more nuanced feedback collection. That third, there's always the tension between emotional support and business viability. Investors want to see traditional growth metrics, but those might not align with what's actually best for users' emotional being. The principles I'm trying to apply to the self-dating app have implications far beyond this specific use case. Emotional UX can transform any digital product. Fintech apps could reduce financial anxiety by using supportive language and calming visuals when delivering difficult news about spending or debt. Health apps could focus on self-compassion rather than shame when users miss goals or struggle with symptoms. Productivity apps could celebrate rest and boundaries, not just output and efficiency. Social media platforms could prioritize authentic connection over viral content and engagement metrics. And my favorite, Duolingo, could just say that it's okay that you haven't practiced today your Spanish or French or whatever lesson. It's okay. Probably you are busy, but you can return next day and practice just a little bit instead of, I'm so fucking disappointed with you. So what? I'm also disappointed in myself, and it's not gonna force me to practice Spanish. Companies like Headspace and Calm have proven that emotional design can be commercially successful, but we're still in the early stages of what's possible when we put human flourishing at the center of technology design. Google's Jigsaw team has been pioneering conversation AI that's designed to reduce toxicity and promote healthy discourse online. Microsoft has invested heavily in AI for Good, initiatives that prioritize social and emotional benefits alongside technical capabilities. But we need more founders and designers to think beyond traditional metrics and consider the deeper impact of their products on human well-being. If you're building a product and want to incorporate emotional UX principles, here are some practical steps you can take. Start with empathy interviews. Talk to users about their emotional states, not just their tasks or goals. Ask questions like, how do you feel before, during, and after using similar products? What emotions do you want to feel more of in your life? Build pause points into user flows. Give people a brief. Not everything needs to be fast or gamified. Sometimes the most caring thing you can do is slow down the interaction. Design for low states, not just high ones. Test your product when you're tired, stressed, or emotional. How does it feel in those moments? Does it add to your burden or help lighten it up? Treat language like UX was a part of the interface. Be intentional with tone, rhythm, and pacing. Consider hiring content strategists who understand emotional design. Celebrate stillness, not just streaks. Not showing up every day isn't failure. Sometimes it's just self-care. Design grace into your product, not guilt like Duolingo. Use color and sound intentionally. These elements have profound effects on mood and nervous system regulation. Consult with environmental psychologists or sound designers who understand these impacts. As with vulnerable populations, how does your product feel to someone going through a difficult time? The feedback will reveal blind spots you might miss otherwise. I believe we are at a turning point in how we think about technology role in human life. The next wave of successful products won't just be faster, smarter, or more efficient, they'll be more emotionally intelligent. Research from MIT Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Laboratory suggests that emotional aware AI system could revolutionize everything from education to healthcare. But the technology is only as good as the values and intentions behind it. We're already seeing early examples. AI therapy chatbots that respond with empathy, meditation apps that adapt to our emotional state, even smart homes that adjust lighting and temperature based on stress levels. But the most important innovations won't be technological. They'll be philosophical. We need to fundamentally reimagine what we want technology to do in our lives. Do we want it to extract value from us, or to add value to our human experience? The self dating app is just one small experiment in the larger vision. But every product that prioritizes human flourishing over engagement metrics moves us closer to a more human digital future. Building an emotionally intelligent app has required me to become more emotionally intelligent myself. I can't design for self-compassion if I'm not constantly self-compassion if I'm constantly criticizing myself. I can't create experiences that support emotional regulation if I'm dysregulated. This has meant doing my own therapy work, practicing mindfulness, and literally using the app I'm building as part of my own self-dating practice. It required a level of vulnerability and self-awareness that I didn't need for my previous startup. But it's also been incredibly fulfilling. When beta users tell me that the app helped them through a difficult moment or that it changed how they think about time alone, it confirms that this approach matters. And I'm not just building a product. I'm modeling a different way of relating to technology and to ourselves. Every interaction someone has with the app is an opportunity to practice self-compassion, emotional awareness, and intentional living. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, I'm just building features. I'm building emotional experiences. I'm creating digital spaces that help people come home to themselves. The next day of technology isn't about more dopamine hits or faster processing. It's about depth. It's about safety. It's about creating tools that help us become more human, not less. If my self-dating app becomes that kind of space for even one person struggling to love themselves, it will have been worth every hour of thoughtful design and careful iteration. Technology has the power to shape how we think, feel, and relate to ourselves and others. With that power comes responsibility. We can either build products that exploit human psychology for profit, or we can build products that support human flourishing. I choose the latter, and I believe there are enough of us choosing this path to fundamentally transform what technology looks like in the coming decades. Until then, I encourage you to pay attention to how the apps and the websites you use make you feel. Notice which ones leave you energized versus drained, calm versus anxious, connected versus isolated. Your emotional response is data. Use it to make more intentional choices about the technology in your life. This is Founder Unfiltered. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.